It'll be fine once we start. It's always just a little awkward. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to Love Lauren. Today we're gonna talk about an organized wedding day and how to be organized. And if you don't know Jenny Drogue, then I need to tell you that she's one of the most organized people that I know. I've done, I think actually just one wedding that you've like organized, but it was the best wedding probably that I could have done because it was a crazy day. But honestly, any wedding, there's something that doesn't go as planned. And how do you get through it? How do you prep as best as you can before the wedding day? To make sure it goes smoothly, we're just gonna talk about all the things. So the first question I wanna ask Jenny, what are some key things that you can do before your wedding day to make it run smoothly?
Good question. Well, first off, I have to preface this by saying that everything that I have learned, I owe to my fabulous girls over at Jane Ray Events in Sioux Falls, and also my awesome team at the Field Museum in Chicago. Had some really awesome internships. I am by no means a wedding expert, but I've gotten to learn a lot of things along the way. And I've also been really blessed to be able to help some of my awesome friends on their wedding days. And so you learn a lot through those experiences. And yeah. But I would say some of the key things to do before your wedding day is to have a day of timeline. This can be as much or as little as you want. In some cases, it can be 14 pages long. In some cases, it can be one. But what this really looks like is your ideal plan for how the day will look. This can start as early as like your rehearsal dinner, including as many details as setup, all the way to just the bare minimums of these are the times that things will start or run. Basically, you just want to put those thoughts down because everybody in your bridal party, they're just there to celebrate you, they're showing up, but for them to know kind of what's expected of them beforehand is really helpful. I have an awesome template that I use for this. I would be happy to share with anyone, but really get some of those basics down, like this is when we're starting for things for getting ready, this is when we need to have pictures done, this is when the ceremony starts, so this is when we want ushers to be there to help people get seated, all of those little details. But one of the things I always say is as you're preparing that, think about how you want to feel on that day. So every bride dreams of getting ready with her friends and her family, having coffee, taking it easy. So build in that time. So think about your morning, allow yourself to have more of a relaxed morning, but then say, okay, this is the time we're going to focus and get things done. So from noon to 2:30 or 3 or whatever that looks like, this is when we're taking pictures. This is when we need other people to be there. Sending that timeline out a week ahead of time to your people that are involved is really helpful because then they can take a look at it, they can ask any questions, they can communicate with spouses or people they're riding with or their kids so that everybody can show up and be prepared. Also, you are 100% going to have hiccups in your day, so having a timeline to go off of helps you know, okay, there's some built-in time where we can circle back and take these pictures or go get this done. It also allows people to know, like, hey, I'm arriving late, but this is probably where the bridal party is going to be because it says they're taking pictures at this location or that. Along with that is a list of phone numbers or contact information. Knowing who to contact, knowing how to get a hold of vendors is super important. Another piece of advice would be don't do it all yourself. If you think about your wedding day, yes, you want to have all the details the way you want them to look, and especially for those of us who struggle to delegate and really like to have things a certain way, you can't do it all on your wedding day, or you can, but you're not going to be able to enjoy the day. So you need to be able to delegate. When you're getting married, people want to celebrate you, and one of the best ways they know how is to help, to take a step in, to do some of those things for you. So don't be afraid to ask people to check on centerpieces or to touch base with this vendor or to make sure that this thing gets from one location to the other. Having a few people in your corner that you can delegate those tasks to is super important.
From the photographer side, having that built-in time, like Jenny said, some of those, like if there's like a family member that's running late and you can't start family pictures because you need that one person, when I make timelines, I know when my other photographer friends make timelines, there's usually a pretty big gap between between the end of pictures and the ceremony. So if there's something that runs late, have built-in time. Pictures don't ever take as long as you think they're gonna take. So trust your photographer and like ask them to help you make that timeline, because I think If they kind of give you the bones of it, and then you're, as a bride, you are able to like add in those other little details that Jenny was talking about that really helps the other people in your wedding party know when to be there, what to be doing, what they need to bring. On the actual day, what are some things that a bride can do to help her day run smoothly?
I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you said earlier, but two things that I right away come to mind is on the actual day, you want to make sure you have downtime between what you need to get done and your ceremony starting. No one likes to go into their ceremony feeling rushed, feeling anxious, feeling like they just finished things up or worrying about what pictures they didn't get or what they still need to do. Having that time to say, I can sit down and eat something. I can chat with the people who are here to celebrate me. I can take a deep breath and just enjoy this moment before we walk down the aisle is so important, and also allows when things are running late or you're not sure or you missed something, it gives you that breathing time. Also, this is a topic for another video, but people probably aren't going to show up on time for your wedding. So knowing that you have a little bit of time there allows you to kind of still get things going in a timely manner, but taking some time for yourself. Another aspect of getting things as easy as possible for the day of is having a point person. This can be anyone from an actual wedding planner, which is awesome and super helpful and can actually save you money in a lot of areas, to a friend that is a personal attendant, to a friend who's not in the wedding party at all, but somebody that is not the bride and not the mother of the bride. They are there to enjoy the day. You don't want people asking them a million questions or worrying them when there's not enough of this or something ran out. They should go through the day not knowing any of those hiccups happened. So having a point person that the bridal party or any of the vendors know to go to is really helpful. And this is where that timeline and those contact information, all of that really comes in handy, because if they need to check in with a vendor or they need to make sure that the personal attendant's going to take the gifts from one place to the other, they know they don't need to ask anyone who has this person's number, how do I get a hold of them. They have everything they need, and then hopefully the bride can get through the day never knowing any of those conversations happened.
I don't think that's like a common thing in Northwest Iowa. I mean, everyone wants to save money, especially here, and so you don't see a lot of wedding planners, let alone like even like a friend being that wedding planner and like kind of being that point person. And I think that is so huge, because I've seen so many brides and mother of the brides just like stressing because something went awry and like it's their job to fix it, but it shouldn't be their job. It should be someone else's job. So that's a really good point.
Nothing makes me more sad than talking to a bride or a family of a bride and asking like, how are you feeling about the wedding? Or how was the wedding? And the first things they talk about was stressful or busy or all of that. Yes, like it's going to be stressful and busy no matter what, but you want the main emotion you're feeling to be excitement and joy and just like readiness rather than that. So it's so worth having somebody or asking a friend or somebody you know that has maybe those skills to just step in and help in those areas. Like your photographer or videographer can be really helpful in a timeline. If you are creating a timeline, make sure you communicate that with them, because they are kind of, if you don't have a planner, they are kind of your scheduler, the person who's running the day, because most wedding parties approach it as, oh, my photographer knows what we need, they'll tell me where to be when, which is great, but communicate that with them so that pressure is not on them if you're planning on them taking that. Say, here's a list of shots I really want. Here's kind of what we're thinking for timeline. What are your suggestions?
For sure.
Because they have a lot of experience. They attend a lot of weddings. Yes. And so ask them those questions because they have really great insight in that area.
Communication, just in general, is so big, and don't assume that your photographer is going to do this. I mean, they probably should, but there are some times where, they may not be as prepared as you are thinking they're going to be. So just communicate.
Also, their job is to capture the day,
True.
Not really to run the day. And so many photographers are so wonderful about taking on that role of giving direction. But the best thing you can do as a bride, in my opinion, is communicate what your expectations are for the role that they'll have so that they can serve you well or let you know, hey, that's not my wheelhouse, or I don't have that prepared, so that you as a bride aren't disappointed or not getting what you want out of it either.
Jenny, what would your ideal wedding day timeline look like?
That is a very loaded question, but one of the things that I have learned in working in wedding planning and then attending weddings is everybody's wedding should reflect the couple. I think I spent so much time I'm very like wedding obsessed. I love weddings. People know this about me, but I spent a lot of time having these grand ideas and all of this. And by no means, like if you want to have a massive wedding and go all out, like, and that is your personality, that is exactly what you should do, because you, Lord willing, get to do this one time. So you should be a little selfish. But I've also learned that some of the best weddings are ones that reflect couples that are super low key and very small and intimate and all of that. So your timeline will look very different. But an ideal timeline from the planner side of things would include details about the rehearsal. If you can have your rehearsal go well and go well quickly, everybody in your bridal party is going to be more at ease, especially the families. Know who is running rehearsal. I've showed up to rehearsals where the pastor has looked at me and said, "So you're going to tell me what to do?" as a personal attendant. And I'm like, okay. And then I've showed up to rehearsals where I very much knew I was expected to tell people what to do, and I was prepared for that. But also, wedding rehearsals aren't super fun, and most people just want to get to the meal and the celebration. So if you can do it well the first time, get people focused, have the music, get things done, walk through it well, it's going to set you up really well for going into the day. And then the day of, know where people are getting ready and what timeline that looks like, especially if they're having people come do their hair or different things like that. Know when you ideally want to start pictures with the bride and groom if they're doing that beforehand, and then know about when you want the family so that they know when to show up. And then the biggest thing, if you are working with somebody who's kind of helping coordinate or all of that, is from the start time of the ceremony till when you plan to leave your reception, you want to have those details as detailed as possible. I love to know what songs are supposed to play when and what order people are walking down in. So when grandma or groomsman number 5 looks at me, I can be like, okay, you're right here. This is when you walk. This is when I'm sending you down the aisle. I know the timing of the music, all of those sorts of things, which are things you get to do in rehearsal if you do the rehearsal well, so that really runs the rest of the day smoothly.
What would be a piece of advice for a bride who's really overwhelmed right now? Because I know one right now.
I have so many thoughts on this. I've touched on a lot of them, but I'll just go through really quickly. One, ask for help. Advocate and delegate. This is about you, but there's also probably a village around you that wants to help. Start creating a day of timeline. I promise once you start to get those details laid out, you start to get less worried about things because you're starting to see it all kind of in order. And so that takes a lot of that worry away. And then it shows you the holes of where things are missing and where you need to fill things in. Be selfish. This day is about you. Be selfish, but follow your personality. Think about those things that you always dreamed of being at your wedding, and don't be afraid to like put those on paper and start working for them. But also take out of your mind what you think your wedding should be to everyone else around you.
Yes.
I've had a few times where I attend a wedding and I'm like, that wasn't really like the couple. I didn't really feel like that was about them. And I think I'm learning that more as I've attended weddings where I leave saying, that was them.
Yes.
That was 100% them. It felt like them. They felt like themselves because the day was like them. So
totally.
if you're overwhelmed, just start writing things out. Ask for help. There's so many people that probably would love to make a phone call for you or send an idea here or there or give you advice. And if you're looking for a day of timeline, I'm happy to help. Send one out, give you a brief idea of what that could look like.
That's awesome. Oh man, that was a lot of good stuff. I feel like there's so many like branches of things that we could also keep talking about, but
could talk about this forever.
Jenny will come on again because we are also want to talk about what a wedding like etiquette looks like and what to do and not to do as a guest or bridesmaid or groomsman. There's so many things. So thanks for watching. Thanks Jenny for being here. Hopefully this was helpful. If you know a bride who is distressed, send it to her. Or if you're the bride watching this, take Jenny's advice. So thanks guys and see you next time. Bye.